U.S. intelligence agency, mind control.
All right, thank you so much.
Let's move to the topic of foreign policy. I want to begin with Russia's war
Wow,
against
the mic
Ukraine,
guy wasn't
which is now
muting
in its
their
third year.
mics too. They didn't get her on in time there.
Former President Trump, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he'll only end this war if Russia keeps the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed and Ukraine abandons its bid to join
I
NATO.
typed in Gulf War Syndrome
Putin's
Biden,
terms
and all
acceptable
that's
to
coming
you?
up is burn
First of all,
pits.
our
Which
veterans
again,
and our
this is
soldiers
why I
can't
hate that
stand
the
this
burn
guy.
pits is such a strong talking point.
Yeah, it's almost a disinformation campaign at this point.
Yeah, it's like they
to hide it.
acknowledge that they deliberately poisoned their soldiers on the event when you can't deny it because so many were poisoned by it.
Yeah,
But
I still have that story
But the
loaded.
way
I just
worse
need to finish it.
deliberate poisoning.
Yeah, I still need to finish that story, but I've got that story pretty much written. It's been written for a year, basically.
They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander in chief, if that's what
I
you
just
call him,
need to confirm
that we've ever had.
confirm
They can't
things and
stand him.
sources.
So
and
let's get that
so on.
straight. And they like me more than just about any of them. And that's based on every single bit of information. As far as
Look
Russia
at him.
and Ukraine,
He loves this.
we had a real president. The
Go
president
back.
that
What is he
knew
actually
was
like laughing
respected
about
by
though? Because
Putin.
I was looking down. I was re-uploading the story post for Instagram.
Our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander in chief, if that's what you call him, that we've ever
That's
had.
what you call
They can't
him.
stand him. So let's get that straight. And they like me more than just about any of them. And that's based on every single bit of information. As far as Russia,
Every
What
single
information?
bit of
if we had a
information.
real
What
president,
information?
the
Cite your
president that
sources.
knew, that was respected by Putin, he would have never invaded Ukraine. A lot of people are dead right now, much more than people know. You know, they talk about numbers. You can double those numbers, maybe triple those numbers. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged Russia from going in. I'll tell you what happened. He was so bad with Afghanistan. It was such a horrible embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country.
He's
that
just
when
talking
Putin
shit.
watched that and he saw the incompetence, that he should have fired those generals like
He's
I fired
just
the one that you
talking
mentioned.
shit.
And so he's got no love lost, but he should have fired those generals. No general got fired for the most
Biden's the one
embarrassing
talking
moment
muted,
in
huh?
the history of our country, Afghanistan, where we left billions of dollars of equipment behind. We lost 13 beautiful soldiers, and 38 soldiers were obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin
Yeah, you know what else you left behind? Dead civilians when the fucking soldiers fired on them. Yeah, that came out. So that's a point against Biden. But
Well,
also,
really,
what,
a
they were
point
fucking
against our
shooting
military.
civilians.
It's a point against our military, really.
Well, yeah. But, you know, it's fucked.
He encouraged
no,
Putin from going in. What does that mean?
No, I have watched. Actually, 2016 might have been the first one that I really paid attention to. So Trump's first one. So it's kind of funny that it's circled back around here.
Putin saw that, he said, you know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take this was his dream. I talked to him about it, his dream. The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine. Never. Just like Israel would have never
I gave him
been
tank
invaded
busters.
in a million years by Hamas. You know why? Because Iran was
He had
broke
to
with
fucking
me.
he had
I
to correct himself in real time there, because he said Israel invaded. What he meant to say is Hamas,
Yeah.
So he's like, Israel invaded by Hamas.
Oh, look, he's
He
going
was
to bring
talking
up,
about
oh,
Israel invading Gaza.
you let their money,
He
you
was
let
talking
their
about
money
Israel
go to
invading
them.
Gaza because both are like unjustified. Well, Gaza's more justified than Ukraine, but you know what I mean? Like, they're both invasions and they're both imperialistic. So he almost lumped them in together and fixed himself in the last second.
Let anybody do business with them. They ran out of money. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for anything, no money for terror. That's why you had no terror at all during my administration.
Yes, he
This
did.
place, the whole world is blowing up under him.
No, it's not.
President Biden?
Someone's looking too much at Russia
malarkey in
news,
our
I
whole
guess,
life.
because that's where the terror attacks are happening
Bad news
now.
that. We're in a situation
Yeah.
where, let's take the last point first. Iran attacked American troops, cause brain damage for a number of these troops, and he did nothing about it. Recently,
I killed everybody.
Here they attacked. He said
He
they
gave
just haven't
Kirkuk
had
to
it.
Iran.
That's all
Say
it
he
is.
gave Kirkuk
He
to Soleimani
Please.
and tried
didn't
to
do a
make up
thing
for it by
when the
killing
attack
him.
took place. Number one. Number two, we got over 100,000 Americans out of Afghanistan during that airlift. Number three, we found ourselves in a situation where, if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, this guy told Trump, do whatever you want and do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did to Putin, encourage him, do whatever you want. And he went in. And listen to what he said when he went in. He was going to take Kyiv in 5 days, remember? Because it's part of the old Soviet Union. That's what he wanted to reestablish, Kyiv. And he, in fact, didn't do it at all. He wasn't able to get it done. And they've lost thousands and thousands of troops, 500,000 troops.
President Trump,
I
as I
never
come back
said
to you
that.
for 1 minute, I just want to go back to my
never
original
said
question,
that.
which is, are Putin's terms acceptable to you? Keeping the
No, they're
territory
not
in Ukraine?
acceptable. No, they're not acceptable. But look,
Hang on.
war that
I
never
need
should
to
have
cut
stopped.
it because the whole thing with we just previewed it yesterday, the plan, right?
Yeah.
That they're attributing to Trump.
Yeah, it's not his. It's
Yeah.
It's former advisors. So that's what we
Yeah.
found out yesterday, is that it's not his plan.
So
this is him
this is
coming out and
actually
saying
he's
it.
winning already by saying the terms are not acceptable, as in keeping the territory. Now let's see if he even listened to the question and what he responds with after.
If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money.
No,
It's not money, Trump. It's not money. It's
also
military
not
equipment.
giving. It's not given.
No, it's loans and aid. It's military support. It's physical assets, not money. I don't know why.
Physical assets like that property you lied about the value of.
I don't understand why the Republicans and Trump supporters are so hell bent on misunderstanding what the fuck is going on.
Because
they live in
disinformation
unreality.
controls them.
We already,
and they allow
we
it
know that
under
they
free
live in
speech,
unreality. Which is their right.
Money. I don't think there's ever been anything like it. Every time that Zelensky comes to this country, he walks away with $60 billion. He's the greatest salesman ever. And I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything.
Why?
I'm only saying.
I just don't understand.
Trump, the question was, are Putin's terms acceptable? The moderator should stop him where he is right now and said, excuse me, sir, the question was, are Putin's terms acceptable? It has nothing to do with what you're saying. You're an idiot.
Yeah, CNN clearly didn't learn anything from the Colorado debate. Clearly nothing.
We should get those guys. We need those guys to moderate a presidential debate for real.
I agree.
The money that we're spending on this war.
It's not money, you fucking idiot.
We're literally profiting. We're literally profiting from it. If war happens in the world, guess who makes money?
America.
Yeah.
That war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president.
I also don't understand.
Okay, how would you settle it? Would you allow Putin to keep territory? Is the question.
This is the other thing, right? This is the other thing. They always say, oh, but the US is doing it. The Zelensky is doing it. This is doing it. None of this would be happening if Putin didn't invade. And I guess that's Trump's point, is this: none of this would be happening because I would stop him because reasons.
Because I gave him a blowy and that's why.
I gave him a handy under the
billions
table.
and billions of blowjobs.
He liked my effeminate hands.
President-elect, before I take office on January 20th, I'll have that war settled.
Haven't done a minute of manual labor in my entire life.
So needlessly, so stupidly.
Yeah, on Russian
side,
and that's the people getting needlessly killed. Russians being sent to the war.
Yeah.
The fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people. And he has made one thing clear. He wants to reestablish what was part of the Soviet Empire, not just a piece of
the Imperial Empire.
Yeah.
Not the Soviet Empire. It's the Russian Imperial movement.
Yeah. He's saying Soviet because it hits harder.
General idea, sure, is Soviet Union, but it's not like, it's a bit scare tactic-y right? It's like, oh, the Soviet Union wants to take over Eastern Europe again, sort of thing, right?
Hmm.
But that's not the case, and this just
I
spurs
would
those
say,
stupid
you know what I
fucking
would
NATO
say?
arguments. Like, shut up.
I would say something like throwing a line like, this guy, he's all about building walls, huh? He'd rebuild the Berlin Wall.
That is a fucking good line, actually. That would be a really good line.
He wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you think he'll stop there? Do you think he'll stop when if he takes Ukraine? What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think of Belarus? What do you think happens to those NATO countries?
Biden, Belarus is essentially Russia already.
No. He's saying Belarus would be involved.
No, he was saying that Belarus would get taken too, because he's like, what about Poland? What about Belarus? And I'm like, you could easily just go, what about Poland? What about?
I think he was no. What I think
Baltic
he's
We
old.
can go
Remember, what he's trying to also include is Belarus would also be involved because Belarus is the one that leaked the plan.
Mm.
Lukashenko leaked the plan that they were going to and take Transnistria next. Nobody knows what Transnistria is, so Poland is a better thing. And then he's trying to circle back to that thing that Lukashenko literally broadcasted stupidly, and then Putin spanked him.
Stop there? Do you think he'll stop when he
Also, Biden has a half Windsor, loses a point.
if he takes Ukraine? What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think of Belarus? What do you think happens to those NATO countries?
Yeah,
And
he
so if
didn't.
you want
I
to
didn't
war-
hear what he specifically said about Belarus. Even it was Belarus.
No, I think what I heard is what's happening is he was like, what about Poland? What about Belarus? Because they're above Ukraine.
Yeah, but I think the stutter was because he was trying to say like Belarus would be involved
maybe.
too.
or you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and
We're
walks
just basically
away,
trying to
by the
interpret what
way,
he's saying at this
all
point.
that money we give Ukraine are from weapons we make here in the United States. We give them the weapons, not the money at this
Thank
point.
you.
And our NATO allies-
Finally, I feel like I'm the only one that's been saying this for 2 years. Like, what the fuck? Finally,
also,
somebody
like,
actually fucking says it.
He didn't, and again, it's because he's old and can't talk. But he was also trying to make the point that we make money
Yes.
here from
Yes.
it. We're actually
Yes.
making money.
Yes.
We're giving them weapons.
Mm-hmm.
produced as much funding for Ukraine as we have. That's why we're strong.
Thank you. Moving on to the
Also,
Middle
well,
East.
he should
In
also. I
October-
would have also, but they're timed, right?
Yeah.
There's more countries meeting NATO spending now, and all he did was lower it because he, threw candy at Angela Merkel and was a crybaby bitch.
Yeah. So, because you could say that Putin
Yeah,
was only
it's because
so...
of the war, but Biden should take credit for it just to shit on Trump.
You could totally position it as Trump created NATO, so Putin felt strong enough to take on Ukraine.
That is actually good attack angle.
That would be a much better angle.
Where the fuck are the fact checkers? Right here. This is why I said you should put us on for your dad.
Hamas.
I even have
attacked
given
Israel,
Trump points.
killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5.
It wouldn't have happened
Americans.
under me, is Trump's answer.
Response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
I'm going to say no more blowies.
Everyone from the United Nations Security Council straight through to the G7 to the Israelis.
Listen, Jack,
and Netanyahu
that's
himself have
classified.
Endorsed the plan I put forward. Endorsed the plan I put forward, which has 3 stages to it. The first stage is trade the hostages.
You're not answering the question. The
Second
question
phase
was
is
about
ceasefire
leverage,
with
sir.
additional conditions. The third phase is the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas.
Nope.
One. They're the only ones standing out.
Not
We're
true.
still pushing
Netanyahu
hard
does too. He's
to get them
pretty
to
public
accept.
about
In the
it.
meantime, what's happened in Israel? We're trying to say the only thing I've denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people. We're providing Israel with all the weapons they need and when they need them. And by the way, I'm the guy that organized the world against Iran when they had a full-blown intercontinental ballistic missile attack.
That's
on
true.
Israel.
That is
No
true.
one
That
hurt.
was a really
No
badass
one
defense.
Israeli
That was
accidentally
actually like
killed,
amazing.
and it just stopped. We saved Israel. We are the biggest producer of support for Israel of anyone in the world.
That is true
And
as
so
well.
they're two different things.
I don't support it, but
Hamas cannot be allowed to be continued. We continue to send our experts and our intelligence people as to how they can get Hamas.
okay.
like we did
Leverage
bin
though.
Laden.
What is
They
the
don't have to
leverage?
do it. And by the way, they've been greatly weakened, Hamas, greatly weakened, and they
Okay,
should
but
be.
leverage.
They should be eliminated. But you've got to be careful for what using certain weapons among population centers.
Just going back to Ukraine for 1 second. We have an ocean separating us. The European nations together have spent 100 billion
Okay,
or
can't talk
maybe
about
more
Israel, I
than
get
that,
it.
less than us. Why doesn't he call them and say, you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them to
Okay,
put up hundreds
buddy,
of billions
no, you
of
didn't.
dollars. The
No, you didn't.
Secretary General
No, you
of
didn't.
NATO said Trump did the most incredible job
Nope.
I've ever seen.
Did not.
They wouldn't have any. They were going out of business. We were spending almost 100%.
You
of
tried
the
to
money
disband
was
NATO, bro.
paid by us. He didn't do that.
He's even still trying to disband NATO.
Bro, we're talking
He's
about
getting
Israel.
you got to ask
Yeah, what the fuck is happening?
these people to put up the money. We're over $100 billion more spent, and it has a bigger impact on them.
It's almost like
because
there's
of
a
vacation,
war
because
going
we have an
on.
ocean in between.
Oh my
You got
god!
to ask them as far as
And also,
Israel
America,
and
the
Hamas.
GDP capital of the world. Wow, you mean they gave? It's like fucking, like when we cheat and say China has more incarcerated people, even though it's not by
Yes,
percentage.
yes.
You know, like, come on, bro,
Israel's
get the
the
fuck
one-
out of here. Like,
the ones,
there's
but he's
other countries have given more as far as their budget goes.
Mhm.
They should just, give all their money and donate people at this point. That way they can equal us, the great nation across the sea that is 50 countries combined into one union. How many countries are in the EU?
28?
Oh, wow. So even if they tried, they couldn't fucking match us, could they?
the only one who wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become
Oh,
like a
no, he fucked it
Palestinian,
up. He
but they
fucked it
don't
up.
like him because he's a very bad Palestinian.
He
He's a weak
acknowledged
one.
that Israel is the one making the war and
President
then
Biden,
said,
you have
and we should let them. Genocide is good.
A minute.
I
Never
take
had
back my
strange
short
forces.
applause I
This is
was
the guy
giving
who
him.
wants to get out of NATO. You're going to stay in NATO? He's going to pull out of NATO. The idea that we have our strength lies in our alliances as well.
I know how I
Maybe a
said
big ocean,
that
but
he
we're
should
ever
bring this
gonna
up,
avoid a
right?
war in Europe,
Thankfully,
a major
Trump brought
war
it
in
back
Europe?
to NATO, and
What happens
Biden is
if, in
able to
fact,
put
we
these
have
points out
Putin
instead of
continue
talking
to
about
go
Israel.
into NATO?
Yes.
We have an Article 5 agreement. Attack on one is attack on all. You want to start the nuclear war he keeps talking about, go ahead. Let Putin go in and control Ukraine and then move on to Poland and other places. See what happens then. He has no idea what the hell he's talking about. And by the way,
True,
I got 50
true.
other nations around the world to support Ukraine, including Japan
True.
and South Korea, because they understand that this kind
Well, South Korea is only doing it because of North Korea, but
Yeah.
You know,
It doesn't
sure.
matter. It doesn't matter,
of
though.
dislocation.
Because, like,
as a
Trump is
serious
just
threat
telling
to the-
people that he's going to disband NATO unless they meet
Yeah.
a 2% funding. While Biden instead is going, okay, you're not going to give him as much money. I'm going to go find somebody who will, bitch, and does it.
whole world peace. No major war in Europe has ever been able to be contained just to Europe.
President Trump, just
That's-
to follow up,
that's a fair
would you
point.
support the creation of an independent Palestinian
Oh, I
state
guess
in order
Bosnia
to
wasn't a
achieve
major
peace in
war.
the region?
Sorry.
We'll
Okay.
have to see. But before we do that, the problem we have is that we spend all the money. So they
No, we
kill us
don't.
in trade. I make
We
great
make the
trade
money,
deals
actually,
with the
sir.
European nations. Because if you add them up, they're about the same size economically. Their economy is about the same size as
No,
the
it's not.
And he is taking notes.
United States. And
Who,
they will
Biden?
no
He's writing
cars,
it
Yeah.
down?
No,
Yeah,
they don't
yeah,
have
I thought he
anything
was-
that we
I
have,
thought he
but
was
we're supposed to
taking
take their
Yeah,
cars,
he's
their
been doing it
food,
the whole
their
time.
everything, their
Well, you
agriculture.
remember, Biden is
I'll change
also a
that.
really good note
But the-
taker when it comes to debates. And we can see that, like, we did that video of him doing the debate from the 70s on arms transfers.
Yes.
And he's
yeah.
taking notes the whole time.
Yeah.
Big thing I changed is they don't want to pay. And the only reason that he can play games with NATO is because I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, and he's right about this. I said, no, I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay. They asked me that question. Would you guard us against Russia at a very secret meeting of the 28
And then you
States
threw candy
at
at
that
Angela
time,
Merkel.
nations at that time. And they said, no, if you don't pay, I won't do that. And you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars.
Billions and
came flowing in the
billions.
next day and the next months.
No,
But now we're in
didn't
the same
happen.
position. We're paying everybody's
you.
bills.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy. Former President Trump, I want to ask you about January 6, 2021.
The fact that these two have been called
Dude,
moderators is
I'm
insane.
a little no. I think we need to get Trump's fucking Israel question in. Why did Trump not have to answer an Israel question?
Yeah. Yeah.
Fake tapper.
Mm.
Fucking fake
kinda-
tapper,
yeah.
fake ass journalist, Jake Tapper.
Are you aware of a CIA psychological profile about you, sir? Would you be interested in hearing what the CIA had to say? This secret study portrays as a brilliant but dangerous megalomaniac who is likely to pursue his own aims in disregard of U.S. interests. He's an uncertain ally. Shall I go on, or would you prefer that I stop, sir?